The first time I walked into that coffee shop, I wanted to leave after only 10 seconds. My hands were cold. My heart was beating fast. And suddenly, English felt impossible. People were talking everywhere. Fast English, natural English, real English. I understood some words, but not enough. And in that moment, I felt small. Maybe you know this feeling too. You study English at home for months, maybe years. You watch videos. You learn grammar. You memorize vocabulary. But when real people speak in real life, everything changes. And this is where the story begins. It was a cold morning. The streets were quiet. I was walking slowly through the city with one simple goal. I wanted to practice real English. Not textbook English. Not perfect classroom English. Real English. The kind people use every day. I saw a small coffee shop on the corner of the street. Warm lights inside. Soft music. People sitting alone with laptops. Some talking with friends. Some reading books quietly. It looked peaceful. But for me, it felt terrifying. Because I knew one thing. If I entered that coffee shop, I would have to speak English.
No subtitles. No translator. No escape.
For a few seconds, I just stood outside the door. I almost walked away. And honestly, nobody would blame me if I did. Fear is powerful, especially when you're learning a new language. You become afraid of mistakes, afraid of embarrassment, afraid people will laugh at you, afraid your accent sounds strange, afraid you are not good enough. And slowly, that fear becomes a wall between you and the life you want. But what happened next changed something inside me forever. I opened the door. The smell of coffee filled the air immediately. Fresh bread, warm milk, sweet chocolate, the sound of cups touching plates, quiet conversations everywhere. And suddenly, I felt even more nervous. The line was moving slowly toward the counter. I started practicing in my head. 1 coffee, please. No, maybe latte. No, maybe cappuccino. Simple words. Very simple words. But fear can make simple things feel impossible. Then it happened. The worker behind the counter smiled at me and asked a question. And I froze. I understood nothing. Not one word. My brain went blank. I panicked inside. This was the moment I feared the most. I wanted to disappear. Maybe you know this feeling too. When someone speaks English and your mind suddenly becomes empty. You forget grammar. You forget vocabulary. Even easy words disappear. For one painful second, I felt like a complete failure. But then something unexpected happened. The worker smiled again. Not a fake smile. A real smile. And slowly, more clearly, he repeated the question. And this time, I understood. Hot or iced? That was it. Just 3 simple words.
Hot or iced?
But to me, it felt like climbing a mountain. I answered quietly. Hot, please. And the world did not end. Nobody laughed. Nobody looked at me strangely. Nobody cared about my mistakes. This is where everything started to change. I moved to a small table near the window and sat down with my coffee. Outside, people were walking quickly through the cold streets. Inside, everything felt calm. And for the first time in a long time, I felt proud of myself. Not because my English was perfect. It was not perfect at all. But because I tried. That small moment taught me something important. Real English is not about perfection. It is about connection. It is about courage. It is about speaking even when your voice shakes. And maybe this sounds simple right now, but for many English learners, this fear controls everyday life. They stay silent. They avoid conversations. They wait for perfect English. But perfect English never comes first. Confidence comes first. Then improvement follows. And no one saw this coming. That tiny coffee shop slowly became my classroom. Every week, I returned there again. Sometimes I ordered coffee, sometimes tea. Sometimes I only sat and listened. I listened to how people greeted each other, how they ordered food, how they laughed, how they spoke naturally. Not fast textbook English, not robotic English, human English, real life English. At first, I understood maybe 10%, then 20, then more. Little by little, my ears changed. My brain changed.
My confidence changed.
But the journey was still difficult. Some days were painful. Some conversations were awkward. Sometimes people spoke too fast. Sometimes I answered incorrectly. Sometimes I smiled even when I did not understand anything. And honestly, there were moments when I wanted to quit. Because language learning is emotional.
People do not talk about this enough. It is not only about vocabulary.
It is about identity. When you cannot express your thoughts clearly, you feel trapped inside yourself. You know who you are in your native language. You are funny, smart, confident, comfortable. But in English, suddenly you feel weak again. Like a child learning how to speak for the first time. That feeling hurts. But this is where most people give up. And this is why most people never become fluent. Because they stop during the uncomfortable stage, the silent stage, the embarrassing stage, the slow stage. But something powerful happens when you continue anyway. Your fear slowly becomes strength. One afternoon, something happened that I will never forget. The coffee shop was busy that day. Every table was full. People were talking loudly. Machines were making noise. The workers were moving quickly. And then a stranger sat near my table. He started talking to me casually. Just simple conversation. Where are you from? Do you live here? What do you do? At first, I felt nervous again. But this time was different. I answered.
Slowly.
Imperfectly, but confidently. And the conversation continued. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Maybe more. And suddenly, I realized something shocking. I was having a real conversation in English. Not in my head. Not with subtitles. Not with a teacher. Real English. Real life. In a real coffee shop. And this was the moment everything changed. Because fluency is not one big magical moment. It is hundreds of tiny brave moments.
10 moments no body says.
Walking into the coffee shop. Ordering the drink. Saying one sentence. Making one mistake. Trying again. Listening carefully. Returning tomorrow. This is how confidence is built. Not overnight. Not instantly.
Slowly.
Like rain filling a river. And maybe right now you feel far away from fluency. Maybe English still feels scary. Maybe you are afraid to speak. Maybe you think your accent is bad. Maybe you compare yourself to native speakers online and feel hopeless. But listen carefully. Every fluent speaker you admire was once a beginner too. Every confident English speaker once felt embarrassed. Every strong speaker once spoke broken sentences. The difference is simple. They continued, even when it felt uncomfortable. Even when progress was slow. Even when nobody believed in them. And maybe this is your moment too. Maybe your coffee shop moment is waiting for you somewhere. A small moment that changes your life forever. Because language is more than words. English can open doors. New friendships. New jobs. New experiences. A completely different future. But first, you must walk through fear. That is the hard part. And also the beautiful part. Today, when I walk into a coffee shop, I still remember that nervous person standing outside the door. The person who almost gave up before even trying. And honestly, I am grateful that I stayed. Because confidence is not born in comfort. It is born in courage. One small brave step at a time. So if you are learning English right now, do not wait to become perfect before you start speaking. Speak now. Speak badly. Speak slowly.
but speak.
Because your voice matters. Your story matters. And one day, you will look back at your own journey and realize something incredible. The thing you feared the most became the thing that changed your life. Thank you for being here. If this story touched you in some way, leave a like and subscribe for more real English journeys like this. And maybe your next English conversation is closer than you think.